I stood by Elena's side through the hardest 7 years of our lives, helping her build everything from the ground up. But now that she was at the absolute height of her success, she was openly chasing after my stepbrother. When the press asked her about the rumors, she didn't deny a thing. Instead, she looked right into the cameras and said she had held herself back for way too long and was finally doing what made her happy. I just stood there and smiled through it. For months, I helped her manage the bad publicity. I watched her make reckless decisions over and over again for this new guy she claimed to love. It didn't stop until Elena eventually got arrested for hurting someone just to protect him. That was the moment I stepped in. I took control of the company, effectively replacing her as the leader. Later, when she was sitting in a jail cell, she cried and asked me to forgive her. I just laughed and pulled my hand out of her grip. I told her the truth. I had been waiting a very long time for her to finally get out of my way. It all started with a phone call. I had just walked out of a massive international meeting, completely drained. I hadn't even had a moment to sit down when my phone rang. It was Elena. She told me to grab some clothes and drive over to the police station immediately. I frowned and asked her what was wrong. She hesitated for a second before telling me that Ryan had been harassed by some guys and she had gone down there to handle it. Ryan is a young, up-and-coming celebrity in the entertainment world. He is the guy Elena has been publicly pursuing. He is also my stepbrother. For him, Elena had blown off important business partners and skipped several board meetings, which was driving the company directors crazy. I was always the one left behind to clean up the mess she made. She wasn't even trying to be subtle about it. This time, she had actually caused a scene at the police station because of him. Before I could ask any more questions, she told me to hurry up because Ryan was shaken up and couldn't wait around. I drove over there and found Ryan asleep, leaning heavily against Elena. He looked small and weak, curled up in her arms in a way that was almost sad to look at. I stood at the entrance for a moment, just watching them. It made me sick, but I kept my face blank. Elena saw me and waved her hand, looking exhausted. She took the coat I brought and wrapped it gently around Ryan, slowly waking him up so they could leave. Her eyes were filled with worry for him. As we walked to the car, she explained what she hadn't said on the phone. She told me Ryan wasn't a small-time actor anymore. She said rivals were trying to sabotage him, and if the paparazzi found out about today, it could ruin his reputation. She told me she didn't trust anyone else to help. She said only I could get them out of there safely. Then she asked me if I understood. Elena had said things like this to me so many times during our 7 years together. She used to tell me she was working non-stop so we could have a good life sooner. She would come home drunk after signing deals and ask me if I knew how much she loved me. But she was the same person who, when her affair with Ryan started getting noticed, told me we had to keep up appearances for the sake of the business. She asked me if I understood that too. I chuckled and said, "Of course." Seeing me smile, she relaxed a little and smiled back. She told me to make sure the PR team watched the news closely once we got back. She was worried reporters might have gotten bad photos of Ryan. She said he was at a critical point in his career and couldn't afford any mistakes. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw her holding him, patting his back to calm him down. I remembered some gossip I'd heard on a film set a few days earlier. Ryan had apparently told someone to stage incidents when Elena was around, to make her feel like a hero rescuing a damsel. He had said it would be best if they ended up at the police station because then I would have to come pick them up personally. And seeing that would make me finally give up and let him rise. It seemed he got exactly what he wished for. I showed up, but I hadn't given up. If anything, my desire to take the company for myself was stronger than ever. The next morning, the scandal about Elena and Ryan was everywhere. The headline was in bold red letters, "CEO Elena fights for her new rising star." I called the office to ask what was going on, and they told me Elena herself had ordered the story to be released. The person on the phone sounded hesitant and told me Elena called it a gift for her love. She wanted the story pushed to the top of the news feeds. I hung up and looked through the social media posts. The photos were very detailed. They didn't just show Elena defending Ryan. They also showed me driving them home like I was their chauffeur. The comments were brutal. People were asking why a company executive like me was always handling their personal drama. Some comments said I must like Elena and was fighting Ryan for her. Others gushed about how handsome Ryan was and said no one could blame Elena for falling for him. The internet was laughing at me, calling me a fool who couldn't see what was right in front of his face. I turned off my phone and went back to work, reviewing documents my assistant had brought in. A little while later, my phone buzzed with a rude message. It was from Ryan. He said, "See, you can't beat me." On the day of my mother's funeral, Ryan had said something very similar to me. He was holding a limited edition toy robot, looking at me with big, innocent eyes, and told me I couldn't beat him because our dad would always belong to him. Ryan was the result of my dad's affair. After the affair started, my dad treated my mom coldly to force her into a divorce. He wanted my mom to leave with nothing so he could be with the other woman. Since the other woman was already pregnant, he couldn't stand the idea of Ryan being called illegitimate. He used my life to force my mom to agree to his terms. Ryan grew up to be just like his mother, nasty and constantly trying to provoke us. He used to have people threaten me at school. I would beat him up every time, but then he would go run to my dad, cry, and claim I was bullying him. When my mom died, he actually showed up with a group of people making noise and celebrating at her memorial. That day, I snatched his toy robot, threw it into the fire, grabbed him, forced him to kneel, and made him apologize to my mom. Just like a prophecy coming true, a video of Elena's interview started trending online, exactly as Ryan had predicted. In the clip, Elena looked like she was in a hurry, coming from an expo. A reporter asked if her actions yesterday meant she and Ryan were serious. Elena smiled steadily and said she couldn't give details right now. Then she paused and added that after holding back for so many years, she was finally following her heart. So, the 7 years she spent with me were just her holding back? That must have been so hard for her. I smirked at the screen. I had barely finished watching the video when Elena called. She didn't call to explain the interview or the trending topic. She called to ask me to go protect her boyfriend on set. She asked if I could swing by where Ryan was filming a commercial to see how he was doing. She said if he looked decent, she wanted him to be the face of our new product. In the background, I could hear her assistant reminding her she was late for a meeting with a client named Mr. Henderson. Elena brushed it off and told me she had stuff to take care of, so she couldn't make it to the set. She asked me to make sure Ryan wasn't getting any grief because the topic was too hot and people were waiting outside her house. Thanks to Elena's little publicity stunt, Ryan was getting a ton of attention. Dating shows were inviting him, and he was getting more screen time on the reality show he was in. Sponsors were lining up to give him ads. When I got to the set, Ryan was posing for the camera, changing through different outfits. When he saw me, he stopped everything and jogged over. He told me it must have been a rough trip and told me to sit and rest, trying to sound considerate. Before I could say anything, he acted shy and said he told Elena she didn't need to send anyone to look after him. But she insisted. He said I was going through a lot of trouble. I raised an eyebrow and asked him what made him think he could speak to me so familiarly. The smile on his face froze. Not far away, my assistant was handing out coffee and tea to the crew. Ryan saw this and started gloating. He said it must have been Elena's idea because she always brought drinks for the crew for his sake. He said he didn't expect me to be doing it too and asked if I was doing it for her. He chuckled and called me generous. I looked at Ryan. He was admittedly very handsome. Under the studio lights, he looked almost perfect. It was a shame that underneath it all, he was a bad person deep down. He leaned in close, trying to show off his youth to me. I reached out and grabbed his face hard, smiling calmly. I told him his face was his only asset, so he should make sure it stayed unharmed. Ryan's expression turned into horror. He tried to signal for help, but no one was looking. My assistant, Sarah, was managing the area to make sure no one stepped in. I moved my hand to the back of his neck and squeezed. Ryan froze in fear. I could see the panics in his eyes. It was real fear, not acting. I whispered right in his ear, asking if he really hadn't changed at all. I asked if he was still stupid enough to think he stood a chance against me just because he had Elena's affection. I told him to keep dreaming. After that, I had people block Ryan's scripts. All the endorsements Elena used her connections to get for him, I redirected them. I gave them to Ryan's rivals. When Ryan found out, I was in a company meeting with Elena sitting right next to me. She glanced at her phone and then looked at me with a complicated expression. One look and I knew Ryan had gone crying to her. Just as I expected, she canceled the rest of the meeting in annoyance and sent everyone out, leaving just me. When we were alone, Elena looked tired and said she heard Ryan's roles and endorsements were taken away on my orders. She asked if I did it. I nodded. Her eyes got even more complicated, and she asked why. When Ryan first showed up around Elena, she had no idea who he was. He was just a fling to her, a distraction. Ryan kept his identity vague, too. When they started falling for each other, Ryan timidly confessed to Elena that he was my half-brother. At that moment, Elena might have felt a little guilty. She apologized to me, blaming alcohol and stress for the blurry lines in our relationship. But she comforted herself by saying it was our parents who messed up, not Ryan, so she couldn't take it out on him. Through her excuses, I saw who she really was. I didn't bother explaining anything or telling her about how Ryan stormed my mom's funeral. I just silently planned how to make both of them disappear from my life. My silence made Elena misunderstand. She thought I was giving my silent approval, believing I could accept her splitting her time between us. Now she dared to say that James and I were blood-related, so I should cut him some slack. I told her plainly that I did it because I hate him. I told her that before she ever knew him, I had already made it clear I couldn't stand him. I said his mere presence made me sick, and I wished he and his mother, Linda, would just disappear from the world. Elena turned her head away like she didn't want to look at me, but I saw the annoyance in her eyes. She told me I was different because I was the vice president, and I had the company and shares. She said Ryan had nothing and had to fight for every role. She asked how he was supposed to move forward if I took away all his resources. She accused me of opposing her just to hurt him. I looked at Elena, who was avoiding my eyes but standing firm, and I found it funny. I tapped my finger on the table and told her she was right. She turned to me, probably expecting me to realize I was wrong. I told her I am the VP. I do have the company. Yes. And I do have shares. I said if I couldn't crush someone as insignificant as Ryan after reaching this position, then what was the point of all my hard work over the years? Elena looked shocked. She stared at me, looking for any regret, but there wasn't any. I have never regretted my decisions. I looked right back at her. After a long pause, she asked me when I became so ruthless. She got up and walked out, accusing me as she went. She said she knew she shouldn't have gone to see that client like I asked. She said Ryan was right, and that I just wanted her out of the way so I could go after him. Ryan had filled her head with his nonsense. She had completely forgotten our days of struggle back in the basement apartment. She had made promises in front of my mom's grave, but that was gone now. Before leaving, she told me I had changed. She said I climbed higher, got money and power, and wasn't the gentle, humble guy I used to be. She said I had become like a heartless machine willing to destroy anyone for personal gain, and that I would regret it. After Elena left, I sat in the conference room for a while. Her assistant, Tom, messaged me saying she was unhappy with her schedule. She wanted all her meetings, dinners, and partner visits passed to me. Tom said she told him that since I had so much time to meddle in the entertainment industry, I should take on more work. I told him fine, give it all to me. After that, Elena stayed by Ryan's side constantly. She arranged new opportunities for him and visited film sets often, pretending it was for company inspections. Photos of them kept trending. Ray, the company executives were unhappy with Elena and brought their complaints to me, which I tried to handle. Ryan would occasionally send me messages to provoke me. He sent pictures of Elena peeling shrimp for him on set, boasting that there was no place for me by her side anymore. In the photo, Elena was peeling shrimp next to a pile of shells, and Ryan had sauce on his face, smiling brightly at the camera. This was the best he could come up with. It made me smile that his biggest achievement was finding a woman to rely on. I saved the photos and messages in a folder called Revenge on my USB drive. Then I just let them be. At another meeting Elena missed, several executives demanded an explanation. They asked why she was acting so out of line and missing important meetings. They said the company wasn't just hers, and they needed an explanation, otherwise no one could trust her as president. In front of everyone, I called Elena on speaker. After a few rings, I heard her tired voice ask what it was. I looked around the room and asked her what she was doing. She murmured that I went too far this time, and Ryan's mood was affected. So she was with him. I stayed silent. She added that I should come over and apologize to Ryan when I could. In the background, I heard Ryan sobbing softly. It was typical of him, acting weak and pitiful with Elena to try and take away what I had. The room was full of mixed expressions. I hung up before she could say anything else. The room was silent. Someone asked what was going on. I smiled gently and told them I was giving them the answer they asked for. I said clearly Elena prioritized something else over the company. I explained that for the sake of that man, she caused media storms and burdened our PR department. I said she abandoned us during a critical transition for an insignificant actor, compromising the company's reputation. I paused and then said, "But I'm not like her. For me, the company is always the most important. You should know from now on who to trust more." The meeting ended and everyone left. I stared at a message I had accidentally sent to Ryan. It was a dinner invitation for Elena and me. I timed it so he would see it before I could delete it. When he messaged me questioning it, I planned to hit him harder. It didn't matter if he saw it. I wanted him to know that no matter how famous he got, I was the one invited to these things with Elena, not him. I even had someone go to the set to help Elena pick out her outfit for the event just to annoy Ryan. After our last fight, I slowly cut off Elena's updates on company matters with Tom's help. Elena was too busy with Ryan to notice the changes. Today, she didn't even realize I called her during a board meeting. She probably thought I was waiting for her at the designer's studio. That night, I went back to the apartment and packed Elena's things into boxes. I sat on the couch with a glass of wine, alone among the boxes. The doorbell rang frantically. I opened it to find Elena standing there. She smelled like men's cologne and looked annoyed. She asked why I didn't tell her I changed the passcode and deleted her fingerprint. I told her calmly I was tired of the old one, and I didn't tell her because she wouldn't need it anymore. She wanted to argue, but then she saw the boxes. She stood by the door, looking at everything. She asked if those were her things and if I was throwing them out. I told her they were too worn out and it was better to get new things. She gripped the door frame tightly and asked if I was kicking her out. I chuckled and told her to come in. I used to wait at home for Elena countless times. She didn't want me drinking or networking because she worried about my health, so she did it all. I would wait for her to come home drunk, make her tea, and listen to her confess her love and promise brighter days. I waited many times, but never like this. We sat across from each other in the bright living room, divided by someone else's perfume. Back when we were poor, the love was real. Now that we were wealthy, I realized a genuine heart is the cheapest thing you can have. Elena asked softly if I was breaking up with her for real. Breaking up with her to let her be with him? That was too convenient. But I smiled and said yes. I told her it was tough getting here, but she was right. If she couldn't pursue who she loved, what was the point? We never explicitly said we broke up before, but the relationship had crossed a line long ago. This was the first time we said it out loud. I told her I'm the kind of guy who sees things through. If it starts honestly, it should end properly. I said we needed to mark the end of us. So, on the website she made to record our relationship, she wrote the words to shut it down. In our chat, on our first day, she had sent a game character running with hope. On our last day, the character lay defeated with "Game Over" above it. Underneath, she wrote, "After the breakup, may your life continue." I replied, "It will." After that, it was calm. We drank tea. She asked if anything happened at the company. I said no, I handled everything. She nodded and said that was good. Then she said she might have to take Ryan to that dinner next week because he needed the networking. I didn't refuse. Before leaving, she asked if Ryan and I could ever just coexist. I looked at her seriously and said that day would never come. I said I would clean up her mess because we were teammates, but not Ryan's. I told her as long as I was alive, Ryan would never have it easy. On the night of the banquet, Elena brought Ryan. He acted like the banquet hall was his own red carpet, dressing glamorously and mingling. I watched from the sidelines as Elena introduced him to high society people. I toasted with partners alone. When a specific partner arrived, I pulled Elena aside to discuss a project. Ryan waited, looking angry. He walked over, smiling through gritted teeth, and taunted me about being alone. He asked if I couldn't find a date after the breakup and offered to ask his friends to help me. Elena looked uncomfortable. She held onto his arm to stop him. I looked up and met her eyes, and her gaze darkened. She told me I could take full charge of the project and that she wouldn't be involved. Then she left with Ryan. I swirled my drink and heard them arguing as they walked away. Ryan accused her of not treating him well, and she told him he was over the line. I smiled. Guilt is a great weapon. With a little guilt, she handed over the project. Later, in the restroom, I washed my hands. Ryan was there, looking pleased, unaware of what Elena had given up for him. I told him the truth. I didn't need a date because I was the VIP of the event, but he needed a date because without latching onto a woman, he wouldn't even qualify to get in. Maybe that got to him, because after that, he tried to flaunt his relationship more. Elena ran to his film set more often. I handled company affairs while they made headlines. Ryan seemed happier in photos. He sent me messages about becoming Elena's husband soon. Elena spoiled him, buying him gifts and even bringing his family to set. Once I visited the set and ran into Linda, Ryan's mom. She was soaking up flattery from people. When she saw me, she demanded I greet her. I ignored her. Annoyed, she started accusing me of being ungrateful, saying I was born just to spite her. She said Ryan was sweet and hadn't forgotten his mom. Ryan was secretly recording this. Soon, fake news surfaced about Vice President James disowning his poor mother and refusing to support her. They claimed I was jealous of my stepbrother and tried to sabotage him. They said I pushed my stepmother when she tried to patch things up. It was a convincing lie with videos. When I tried to fix it, Elena called. She said Ryan just wanted to vent and that I shoved Linda too hard. I chuckled and said I only regretted not pushing her harder. Elena criticized me for being heartless. She said Ryan told her everything, that my aunt and uncle were unhappy and it was my aunt who wanted a divorce, freeing my dad to meet Linda. She said they wanted to make amends, so I should let go of the past. I gripped the phone and asked if she wanted me to bow down to them. I reminded her it was her fault for pushing this first. I warned her about the public backlash affecting the company. She said it wouldn't because she was the one in charge. I hung up. With Elena backing him, Ryan accused me of being heartless to family and trying to stop their love. Elena's presence proved everything to the public. This was exactly what I needed. When the backlash against me peaked, I posted the truth about my dad's affair and evidence of Ryan sneaking around during my relationship with Elena. I used the webpage Elena created. It showed the exact millisecond we broke up, which was only half a month ago, but online buzz proved she and Ryan had been together for almost a year. I shared Ryan's bragging texts and every dirty trick he pulled. Public opinion flipped in an hour. Ryan went from favorite to homewrecker. Elena called me furious. She said I went too much. I heard Ryan crying on the other end, apologizing pathetically. Elena warned me I would regret this. I said I wouldn't. She soon realized I had stripped her of control at the office. She tried to help Ryan, but I held all the major projects. Investors avoided her. She had to use her own money to pay off his breach of contract fees. But it wasn't enough. Ryan and Linda called me frantically. I finally picked up Ryan's call. He screamed, asking what I wanted. I said I wanted to take him and Elena down. He asked if I was crazy and if I was afraid of dragging Elena down too. I told him I wasn't dragging her down. I was pulling her off her pedestal. I told him he was useless besides leeching off women. I warned him that if he kept acting crazy, I would release the call recording. He shut up and hung up. At the office, Elena asked if I had to go this far. I said I left room for her. If she came back, I'd clear the obstacles. She looked at me deeply and walked away. That night, I heard Ryan went to a party thrown by Mr. Henderson, a director known for being a slimeball, to try and get work. He humbled himself, but Henderson made a move on him. Ryan tried to run but was cornered. Elena swooped in to save him. She and Henderson's people fought. In the chaos, the police were called. My assistant Sarah told me to go to the station. I patted her shoulder and said, "Good job." When I got there, Ryan was crying on a chair. Elena had injured Henderson severely while saving him. The news hit the internet. Henderson was in a coma. Elena was facing prison time for intentional injury. She looked at me with hope. I told her I had the company under control. She didn't ask me to protect Ryan this time. It was raining when I left. Sarah held an umbrella for me. I asked her if she was happy now that I avenged her brother, who had been destroyed by Henderson years ago. I told her she was free. She held the umbrella tight and said she would always work for me. I didn't protect Elena like she asked. I proposed to the board that we cut our losses. The board decided I would be CEO. No one objected. I visited Elena in jail. I told her I was keeping everything safe for her return. She signed documents without checking them, touched by my loyalty. She said she realized she loved me most, and we would marry when she got out. I just smiled. Sometimes Sarah went instead of me. Elena trusted her, not knowing Sarah helped orchestrate everything, guiding Ryan to Henderson, tipping off Elena, and leaking the scandal. The day Elena signed the final transfer agreement, Sarah told me Ryan had lost everything. No one helped him. Henderson's family retaliated, breaking his leg and leaving him in a park. He was ruined. Linda went insane from the pressure. I delivered the news to Elena. She was livid that Ryan had left her. I told her I knew Ryan's intentions from the start. It was Linda's idea to get money from me. I explained that I let Ryan get close to her, then pushed him so she would have to act out of love and ruin herself. I admitted everything was calculated to kick her out of the company. I told her she had no value anymore, and I wouldn't be back. Leaving the prison, I remembered Elena once saying I rose to power and wiped out everyone around me. She hated who I became. She wanted someone young and weak like her old assistant, or like Ryan, so she could feel powerful. She didn't need a strong partner like me. She needed a partner she could dominate. That was fine. She could think about her love in prison. I would rise to new heights. I walked forward, smelling the flowers, remembering a poem about spring surpassing all beauty. I was finally free.
Yesterday with Mazda, and that was fun as fuck. Played with Mazda, Possessed, Dark Bat. That was fun. Pokes head in. That's literally how I've been since beta. I really wanted to succeed so much. It had so much promise. It has so much potential for the best Battlefield in a very long time. However, the AAA studios have been I'm trying to read this. One second. That's a teammate. That was. Daddy, chill. Okay. However, the way AAA studios have been in the last 4-ish years, I don't see it happening, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't like playing Battlefield 6 by myself. That's why I don't play games as much as I could. I don't have anyone really to play with. That's a huge part of why I'm pissed that my Steam account got hacked and I lost my entire friends list. Yeah, I thought... Did you say something about that in the Discord the other day? That fucking sucks, man. Getting your Steam hacked. That's fucking brutal. I would be pissed if that happened to me. Not the first time? Dang, dude. It's happened 4 times now? Even like, so do you use the Steam app on your phone to log in, where you have to like scan the QR code for multi-factor? Because that's what I do. I use the Steam Guard key.
We've lost control of Delta.
Luckily, after the first time, I have gotten into Humble Bundle. That way I have all the keys that I got now. I like Humble Bundle. It's been locked down hard as shit. They can still get in. Fuck. That sucks, dude.
We're targeting objective Delta.
There's like 5-ish years of game keys saved. Damn. Most of my Steam library, like I have almost 500 games on Steam, and most of them come from Humble Bundle. A lot of them I don't even know that I fucking have. I would just buy the bundles. Or I'd go on to